I totally get how we can get annoyed, but this is WGLZ Current FM in the AM, by the way. I'm Duke. Uh, People need help, and we got to be okay with just understanding that. And if you think about it, sometimes we get frustrated because we're going through our stuff, and then somebody will hit us with their stuff, and we don't want to seem selfish. So we have to pretend like their stuff, depending on what kind of person you are, it starts off noble where you're like, okay, well, let me put my stuff aside to help someone else. And then you find out they never return the favor. Next thing you know, you start to get bitter. You start to get angry because you find yourself constantly helping people with their stuff. And then, you know, then you don't, when you're in need, no one's helping you, right? But I need you to understand something that the way God has this thing set up, we all just need help. We all need each other. Now it's pretty cold out there, and we're doing the hoodies for the homeless, and I want you guys to be a part of that. Please be a part of that because you've seen how cold it is. There's people out there they're literally going to die sleeping in the woods out there. I know a couple of the homeless camps that are in the area, in the woods in the area, and there are people dying in Virginia, hiding in the wooded areas. They have these camps, and if you go out there, you'll see that it might be two or three people that are frozen to death, and that's a terrifying fact. That people are freezing to death outside in the woods, and we're trying to help as many people as we can. You'd be surprised. The city does a great job at covering up its image, making it seem like things aren't happening when it really is. But that's the nature of the government and all that stuff. But I'm trying to tell you that people need help. We need to be vigilant and serious about helping one another. I hear people say all the time that we're the church. It makes me laugh because I'm like, so if we're the church, if that's true, I believe that that the church is not the building. So then, if we're the church, then what are we doing? Since it's we, since it's us, that's my question: is why you say when you want to dismantle the need to go to church, you'll say we're the church, but when I want to talk about you know the responsibility, then I can look at you and say you have a responsibility to help people. Then it's like, oh, I'm not a pastor. I'm not a. Which one is it, folks? I'm going to tell you what though. When we're standing before God, one thing we're going to want more than anything is for God to take us seriously. We're going to want to make sure that we helped as many people as possible. This is a broken world, folks. It's a broken world. And it doesn't really matter if you believe, if you say the name Jesus, if you say Yeshua, Yahuwah, it doesn't matter. What I'm going to tell you straight up is if the love of God and the truth of God is not in your heart, and you can watch your brother and sister struggle and die, or if the only people you help are people that help you, you got it all wrong. You got it all wrong. If you're getting a hard heart, you got it all wrong. So I want you guys to understand something. It's getting down to the nitty gritty right now. We're seeing who the real people of God are, and it's not that many. Just to be totally honest with you, it's not that many people of God. Like, don't even be fooled just by because everyone says that they're children of sons and daughters of God and all that stuff, and they believe in God. Just because they say it, read Jeremiah 5. We already dealt with this. Jeremiah 5, the Bible actually says, he tells Jeremiah straight up, even though they say they believe in me, they swear falsely. You know what I mean? He says they swear falsely. Listen, Brandon Bruno says, I know the feeling. Look, guys, people need help. And all we got to do is help them. We got to be there for people. We got to help people. And I want to say this too, Brandon. When I needed help, you were there for me. I want to say thank you to you too, Brandon. You've always had my back. You know what I mean, and been there for me. I really do appreciate you, Brandon. Brandon Bruno is an amazing guy. I want everybody to know that his name is Brandon Bruno. This guy has a heart of gold. He's a good guy. And when we were in 2 years in a row, we were in trouble at the kiosk. This guy helped us out big time. You know what I mean? It's like stood by us. So, but what I'm talking about right now is, you know, like helping people that can't help us back, helping people that that can't do anything for us. You know what I mean? We've got to understand the reality that our purpose is to serve one another. It's not that one is greater than the other. It's that we're all broken in different places. We're all broken in different places. And when we realize that we're broken in different places, but we can all learn from each other, and we can all build each other, protect one another. You know, see, we've got to get back to tribal community, a tribal mindset. You know what I mean? And a lot of folks don't want to hear that because we're too civilized now. But I'm going to tell you straight up, we've got to get back to tribal community because that's manageable, and we can honestly take care of each other. The government did a wonderful job making us think that we're going to be superstars and celebrities and all that stuff. I never believed in that stuff anyway. I always believed in community more. The struggle was this, though. When I saw how many people had bit the lie, how many people believed that their lives were actually more important, and that more people would want to celebrate them as big them, little us. Well, it's not true. People want to celebrate life, celebrate each other, celebrate each other's victory, celebrate each other's help. I noticed that a lot of people work hard to make it, and they can't wait to make it so they can celebrate everybody that fought with them and helped them build and things like that. But there's a lot of people that just want power. And that's a shame. Because in this world, the only power that we really have is the power that's given to us from heaven. And we should be grateful to God for any form of power that he gives us. And we should be able to use that opportunity, that power. We should constantly use that power to serve one another. That's what it should be about. Serving one another. That's what everything should be about. Building each other up, serving one another. My parents give me a hard time because they say that anytime somebody is moving, they always ask me. They always ask me when and then when I'm going through something, if I need somebody, I can't find anyone, and I always laugh because my parents don't understand that I don't care about that. What I care about is just when someone looks back and says they needed me, that I was there. That's what I actually care about. Not whether or not they helped me out because I know that people are selfish. Once they get what they want, they run. But the thing is that if you're consistently there for somebody and you're consistently showing someone love, and they start to see it, they start to see you actually care. But what we've got to do in today's society, listen, do not give up your ability to love, folks. That's what the enemy's really after. He's after your ability to love. All right, you can't fall into that trap. He's after your ability to love. The enemy's after your ability to love, because then God can hold you in contempt. God can say this, that you've broken. I mean, if your ability to love is gone, then the enemy has pretty much won in your life. You know what I mean? And I know that life is frustrating, and I got my man with me, Apostle William Harper. We're gonna play a quick commercial, and then I'm gonna bring him on so we can talk some more. But I know life is hard, but we've got to get this serving thing down and helping each other down. Brother William Harper, we've been having a tough conversation over the last couple of days about me losing weight and things like that. That's because he's serving me and being honest, and I'm being, and he's helping me, and we're talking about real things. We got to get back to authentic relationship, people. So we're going to play a quick song, and I'm going to be back with Apostle William Harper.
radio for all of Hampton Roads. 88.5 FM, 97.9 FM, W250 AE, 103.7 FM, W279 AD, and 103.9 FM, W280 CX. WJLZ.
What's going on, brother?
Oh, blessings to you, my brother.
You doing all right?
I'm good. Loving you, watching you. We're there with you. Everybody got you. We got you. Don't worry yourself. You good to God. We got you.
Yeah, we're good.
Look, we got you.
Yeah, man. We gotta get this service thing down, man. This service thing is real. We gotta. I know we like the idea of being professional, but we gotta get this service thing down, the brotherhood thing down.
Yeah,
that's something that the body of Christ is struggling with, especially in America. You know, America, obviously, the way America was born, you know, it was more of a destruction of tribal community. So that never really developed in the mindset of a lot of American people because they don't, you know, it was more about what I could have and the, you know, my power and using the Bible to get me established and my blessing, you know. And in other countries, there's a tribal community where it's understanding that, you know, God is with us and we have to help each other and bless each other. And my concern for America is that we've got too many individuals and they all want to be, and everybody wants to be the most important. You know, we created, yeah, everybody wants to be number one. We created a nation of narcissists, you know, me and mine. And how do we get back to the true heart and love of the Father?
Okay, beautiful. Thank you for having me up here, Pastor White. Shalom, 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 shalom. Blessings to your family, your ministry, and everybody that is there. Listen, over time, I've grown to love this man. Listen to me. This guy has a pure heart. Listen to me. Any of you try to touch this guy, you got to come to me. Man, we with him. Listen, let me share this with you. He said something that is powerful. Listen, the oppressors, this is what they did. They went into our communities and saw the power of community. But this is what they did. They used the power of community to build their kingdoms. Now look at this. When you buy a car, look at this. When you buy a car, you never get to see the community of the factory that put that car together. So what has happened to America? They have kept you away from the power of the community that causes you to enjoy your bounties. So you think your bounties are accidental. It is in your mind like it's just there. But if you were to go into places like China where these things are assembled, you will understand that even the products that you desire, that you think will make your life better, they cannot even come together without community. You are blinded by the power of community. That is what is really happening. But those that are behind the scene knows that our companies cannot happen without community. You can't have a Burger King without community. Man, y'all leave me up in here this morning. Community. You can't even have Burger King without community. Can I share with you that the obesity that we are struggling with, it is the food system is saying, let us take advantage of a community that likes to eat. Man, you're not. Yeah, man, y'all leave me this morning.
Man.
Man, so this is what they're saying. They're saying we have found a community that has a weakness with food. You know what we're going to do? We are going to create more food for that community. We're going to package it well. We're going to advertise it. There you are. It's the power of community. If the foods that were created was not bought by a community, they will not create it. So everything is in a community. Woo! My God.
So like you said, everything is in a community.
Everything is in a community.
And that's why it's so important for and that's what I'm saying is that I don't know how America got deceived as if communities didn't matter. Well, I can, to a certain degree, like I said, I can see how the deception came in, because when you look at the early years of America, and there really was nothing to do. There really was nothing to do. There was really nothing to do. So people had to figure something out.
That's deep right there.
Yeah, that was nothing to do. People started finding reasons to have power over each other, and started this. It was like this rat race to be important versus build each other up, versus discover life and what life is truly about. We say that the world doesn't revolve around us, but that's not what we mentally live.
Yeah, that's deep right there. We don't really, we say that, but we don't operate like that, because it's all about us.
Yeah, the whole thing's about us.
Me, myself, right.
Yeah. And when you can tell when somebody just asks for a little help, we make it seem like it's such a big inconvenience. And this is how you know that the heart of man is truly becoming darker. We're about to go on air in 28 seconds. But that's how we know that the heart of man has truly become darkened, because, even the fact that parents don't even really want to raise their own children anymore. The children, the one thing children will bring children into the world. And of course, children have a bunch of questions, because they're new to the planet. And yet we make it seem like our lives are too busy for our own children. All right, Current FM, we are here. We have Apostle William Hopper, the sent one, on air with us. And we're just talking about this servanthood situation, and why we've got to get back to a mindset of serving one another. Now, I know this is difficult. I know that we're busy. I know that we have families of our own. I get it. However, it's part of our humanity to help one another. That he was saying earlier that there's no community that can survive without. There's no community that can survive without. Or nothing can survive without community. The Ford plant, cars, Burger King, nothing can survive. And what they do is that he was saying off air how a lot of times you won't see the community that's building all these products, but we'll think that we're on the top because we got the product, but we never saw the community that built it. Well, when I talk to people a lot of times, Apostle, I ask them this question. Who's more important, the doctor or the mechanic? And most people, they'll try to, they'll say, oh, the doctor. And I'm like, well, what happens if the doctor's trying to get to the hospital and his car breaks down because he doesn't have a mechanic and he knows nothing about cars? And then they say, well, then the mechanic. And I go, well, what happens if the mechanic has a heart attack? And it's just this reality where we just need each other. Like, that's the bottom line. We just need each other. And I'm not even talking about I'm talking about men and women. I'm talking about black and white. And I'm talking about cross-cultural. You like that, cross-cultural? I'm talking about cross-cultural. Because if there is this idea, if we're going to deal, we can't say we can't say that we stand against white supremacy, right? But then be okay with our own version of supremacy. It's either equality, because it's not like, now I don't want white supremacy. I want Duke supremacy. Like, it's not the white man. It's Duke's the supreme.
It's just another type of supremacy.
Right, yeah. We don't, there's no supremacy. We want We want God to be the ruler, and for us to be His children. And we serve one another. What difference do you see in American culture and culture in South America as far as brotherhood, relationships, family?
Now, just the statement. Now, I'm going to say something here now, and thank you again, Brother Duke, and to all your followers and everybody, Pastor. Blessings to you. Sometimes you have to redefine or understand what a word means to know what it is really saying, and what is implying, and what the founders of that thing is actually saying in the nuances of language. Let me explain. When you say the American dream, that statement sounds great, but it's very selfish. How could you say the American dream and the America was built on the backs of the labors of people coming from all around the world? Now we call the United States of America, we say you are the world power. Why not a global dream, a world dream for humanity? Now, the minute you are saying the American dream, it means you nullify every other dream that is not American. Now, look at this. I want you to understand something. At the core of our existence, we are humanity, mankind. And so when you forget that at your basic level, on a biological level, you are a human being, you forget that before there is an American dream, there is the dream of love and existence in a community. When you were a baby, you were not born into the American dream. You were born into a family called a community, or a community called a family. And so what has happened, you guys in the West, and I see your culture is coming here largely, you guys in the West, somehow, and I love you, and I love the United States for all of the blessings it has given to us and to the world. But I want to show you something. When you take a gift and you wrap it up beautiful and you present it in the marketplace, a product or anything, it is so beautiful. Sometimes you never get to see what is behind the scene when it comes to that thing.
Right.
At the core of success in any civilized nation, in any civilized culture, if you break community, if you destroy community which resides in humanity, you are going to destroy that culture.
Yeah. And you know,
that
it's
is
crazy.
How, oh my God.
Go ahead.
That is how a group can begin to say another group, let us get rid of them, not realizing that group doesn't even have the slight idea to understand, okay, this is the group that built our economy. This is the group that picked cotton so that we can wear the garments we wear. This is the group that was in the cane fields so that we can have sugar. How do we get rid of this group? Then what happens? Because you are not, what is the substitute for this group? Let us build walls, let us block them out, let us get rid of them. But you don't realize that the lifeblood of your economy is in this group. That means somebody is in some state of insanity. Because if you are, listen to this, have you ever, and I'm gonna close with this here, man of God. If you are on a limb, right, and you are standing on the limb that you are trying to cut, I want to know, you know, I don't know if you've ever seen it in the cartoons, you know, this guy is standing out on the limb, trying to cut them, you know, he's cutting his limb. Let us get rid of them. Oh, white people are not important. Black people are not important. Mexicans are not important. And the limb you are cutting, you are standing on it. That limb is holding you up. We don't have to worry about your future. We know you are doomed. But
You know,
some part of you.
it's so interesting because the same. Now, here's what's really interesting is that when we neglect our love for each other, now try to follow me on this, okay? When we neglect the love for community, there's certain truths the community will share with me that I might choose to neglect and ignore in myself. That could be life-threatening. So let's say if I'm willing to be dishonest with myself, the only way I could ever get corrected in myself is if I have a community of people that will be honest with me. And if I need this control to seem so powerful and to be the almighty, awesome one and all that stuff, and I only want to hear good things about me, and I never want to be corrected, now that's another reason why community is so important. Because community can see you're going the wrong way and pull you back in. But if you're just
Pastor.
But if we're determined to be the almighty ones and we're constantly rejecting community because we don't want anyone to tell us anything. When I think about Yahuwah, when I think about Yeshua, Jesus, and he asked who the people say I am, he knew it was important. I like that he wasn't I like that he didn't say, well, I'm the Son of God. I don't need you. I'm God in the flesh. I don't need you. You know what I'm saying? I like that he understood that it was important how people perceived him and how the community saw him, you know, and we've got to do our checks because here's what happens. If we're in our own head and we make ourselves to be some great one, but no one can see our influence in the community at all, then we're just in our head. We're just in our head. We make ourselves, we're driving ourselves crazy because we make ourselves think that we're greater than what we actually are. And then we put pressure on ourselves that doesn't even exist because we're just in our head. If we are truly impacting the community, then the number one influence that we would want people to feel is our love. Because people protect. When they feel love, they protect it. People will protect men and women that show love. The betrayal that so many people feel in this climate, especially in America, in the church climate, is because they don't feel much love from the church. You know, the church is supposed to be that one place where you feel love coming constantly. You're not supposed to wait for Easter and Christmas to show love. You know, and we have seasons when love is designated. You know, you got Valentine's Day and you got, you know, that's when it's okay to be loving. The church is supposed to be beyond that. The church is supposed to be it's the place where we feel the Father's love for humanity. And that's where we gotta get back to that. You know, we've got to and I think that's why our families, you know, we're at a 50% divorce rate. You know, we're at a 50% divorce rate where the children and parents' relationship are estranged. You know, we're broken on so many different levels, but we're Americans. And we get to tell the world we can't keep our family together, which is the most important thing, but we walk around the world as if we're the greatest country in the world. You know, when all we do is let each other down, when all we do is stab each other in the back and betray each other, but yet we sit there and we walk and act like we're the greatest country in the world. I tell people this all the time. The people make the country. If the people are treating each other poorly, how is that country great? How is America great if we constantly treat each other, including our own families, like garbage?
Wow.
Refusing to forgive, refusing to walk in love. And where do we get the instructions to learn how to love? That's the value of the Word of God. We made it to be some great mystery when it's not. The Word of God teaches us how to love one another, teaches us how to build community. And we've betrayed ourselves in our own intellect and pride and ego. You know, you were talking earlier, I think it was 2 days ago, when you were saying you guys have come out of slavery, what, 50 years ago?
Yeah, but 52 years.
52 years coming out of slavery, 52 years ago. Has the culture already started to kind of dissolve away from community, and you know, or is it still a value for community there?
Now, there is thank you for that. That's a powerful question. Now, I believe that one of the things that we did, we went too early for independence because we did not know how to manage ourselves as a people, as a community. But there is something that happened. While we were on those plantations, somehow these villages, these places, these little places that we lived along this coast of our lands, we maintained that sense of community. And all across the nation, there are these micro, I want to call it micro communities that contribute to our success, whether we realize it or not. Now, where we come in as a church, or where I come in as a pastor or as a community leader, is that I'm beginning to notice that there is a generation who has removed or is removing the old landmarks. They do not understand the significance of many things that have been established. Now, what is that? What is happening? There are some things that you can trouble in a community that you will not, over time, the measurement will not show the effects in a year, in 2 years. But over time, if you do a proper study, you're going to begin to see that community begins to falter because that which held it up has been removed. And here what happens. Look at this. And I want, hear you, me, America. You think that you are liberated, but this is what is happening. There was a generation who messed with the principles of righteousness, and they did not see the effects of it in their lifetime. You guys are now seeing the effects of it. Your kids are killing each other in school. You're acting crazy. Listen to me. Suddenly, you are thinking that it is okay to kill me from the womb. You listen, hear this reason. You think you have a great president. You think you have a great cabinet. You think you have these great inventors. You celebrate your celebrities. This is what you don't understand. If their mother had aborted them, you couldn't enjoy that luxury. But some group has become wise in their own eyes to think, let us murder babies from the womb. Yeah. Not remembering that there was a time you were in the womb, and it is not that your mother did not have the option to get rid of you, but because of the sanctity of life, your mom went through the storms, the pressures, the challenges of keeping you around. But somebody removed that. Let me tell you this. I want you to hear me, America. I stand as a man of God. So now you are angry when in the streets your sons are killing each other while you have given permission through laws to kill him when he's in his womb. What is the difference?
Oh, right.
Can we talk?
Right. Oh, that's good. That's good. If we
Let's go.
allow our, if we allow, like, what's the, like you said, what's the difference? If we allow our children, yeah.
Pastor Duke, I hope I didn't stir America too much there.
No, this is that show. This is what we do. This is what we do. We want people to talk about it. We want people talking about it at work. We want people thinking about it. We want people talking about it, because this is what's important. We got to get back to talking about what's important to life. And everybody's worried about, judging each other and condemning each other. It's like, hey, we're all condemned and judged if we don't get this thing right.
Yeah.
The Bible says that we're already condemned if we don't get this right. So, we've got to get back to obeying the word of the Lord, obeying God, getting back to the heart of God. We got to get back to family. We got to get back to love.
Community.
Yeah, it's community. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to play some music, but check this out. I want to give you guys some information about Regent University real quick. So listen to this commercial, and we will be right back.
Boom. Man, I hope I didn't go too hard just now, Pastor Isaac. I hope I didn't go too hard just now. My God.
Say that last part again.
I hope I didn't go too hard just now.
No, you did great, man. You did great. So here's the thing. We've got to get back to this community situation, because what's happening is that while we're not building each other up, while we're wasting time, trying to be important, we could just be important by serving one another. It's the by. By serving one another, by being there, by lifting each other up. That's what so it's not that we're not important. But when we try to make ourselves seem more important than others, when truthfully, the most important thing we could do is just be good to each other, serve each other, and build each other up. Does that make sense?
Powerful. That's it is a sad thing, my brother. It's a sad thing. When you imagine, all right, good, let's look at this. Let me give you how sad our times has become. Imagine there's a group of people say, we don't want gas stations anymore. Boy, we don't like gas stations anymore, because gas stations are taking up space, and we need those spaces to play football. We need to play volleyball in those spaces. You would want to think that somebody would think, how do we fill up our tanks? You would want to think that somebody would think that. So there's this crazy group that is out there thinking, no, we don't need that. No, let's riot. We need to get rid of gas stations. And imagine now, me and you were out there saying, everybody, you need gas stations because you have to get gas in your car. And you're thinking, oh, we're doing a great job trying to tell people we need gas stations. Dude, look around you. How do you fill your tanks? Now, this is what we're doing, brother. All of the things that we are enjoying are benefits of communities. And we have to be out here saying to people, let us keep community together. Please, let us have the community. You see how crazy that is? You would want to think that we would know that, hey, all that I am now is a community. All right, good. In case you want to think it's not your community, when last you designed a new sneaker?
Right.
Oh, when last you designed a new sneaker? Okay, all right, good. I think you think it's great. When last did you design an headphone? I know you're walking all around the city and you're trying to block out everybody from your ears. But I was just going to think that maybe you created that headphone you have on your ears. Okay, so you block out the city. Nobody else is important. Okay. Oh, that jersey that you have on that you think is cute. Okay, you created that jersey. Oh, you hike more than everybody. Dude, there is a community that has pledged their time, their resources, so that you can wear that jersey. All right, good. Let's say that you don't need anybody. The banking system, you put your card into a place, and you put your card in, you could just pick out a beer, or you go take a beer. Okay, when last did you service that system? Oh, you know all the dynamics that goes into when you push a card, the beer comes out. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, you're the boss. You don't need anybody. Okay, let's think about the train. Okay, when last you repaired the trains? Oh, but I am myself. I don't need anybody. The hell with the world. Okay, let's talk about our satellite networks. Oh, you're on your live every day. Are you aware that you're on your live every day? Are you aware that Facebook, Instagram has an office somewhere with all these hard drives where they're storing your photos and they're making that thing run? Let's say you at the hell with the world. Remember the other day, Facebook was shut down for a day.
And people were furious.
Oh, I think you don't care about the world. You know, I'm thinking you don't care about the world.
Yeah. People were furious by that, by going out for a day.
Oh, well, let me give this one example. If the community is not important, how come you are so careful with not letting me in when you think I have COVID? And you're afraid that COVID is spread by a community. Maybe we need maybe we need a pandemic of love so that we will spread love like we spread COVID.
Wow.
Because through COVID, we understand that everything can be spread through a community. Maybe some of you need to be infected with love, that I might catch some love from you on the plane, that I might catch some love from you on the train. And may they never find a vaccine to cure the love.
Wow. No, so good. Because we've got to get back to that. Because, you know, I'll tell you what, man. One of the things that I think about while you were saying that is that when people lose faith in God, usually it's because of something God didn't do that they wanted him to do. You know, something. There's something that they wanted God to do that he didn't do. All right. But then there's this another level where they lose disappointment in humanity. So you lose disappointment in God. You lose a respect, a love, a reverence for God. And then you lose a reverence for humanity. Then you lose a reverence for family. And with the level of depression that's going on in the world today, I've seen people lose a reverence for themselves. So many people in America are saying that they don't have a purpose. They don't have a purpose. They're asking, why was I even born? I don't want to live it. The suicide rate is at an all-time high. People in third world countries are not killing themselves on the level that Americans are killing themselves. And we're supposed to be the number one country in the world. And I go, God, why can't we see the madness? That it's all hype, it's all ego, we're broken as a nation, not defeated, but we're broken and we need to repent. We need to repent and come back to the Lord. If you go back to Jeremiah 5, if you go to Jeremiah 5, I found out what America's really dealing with. And it is what Jeremiah was telling when Jeremiah said, Lord, you have stricken them and they made their faces hard as stone. You've stricken them, but they won't repent. They won't return.
Oh.
And that is the issue. Is that God has done some stuff. He is sometimes, when my parents wanted to let me really have it, when my parents really wanted to come down on me, they would let me have my way. If they really wanted to hurt me, if my parents wanted to hurt me sometimes and see how bad I was, how messed up I really was, they would let me have my way. And so when I would have my way, and see the results of my way, I'm like, come save me. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Yeah. I'm like, come get me out of here. So America is eating the fruit of its labor. You know, our children are not doing okay. Our families are not doing. How can we have houses with, 10 and 12 bedrooms and have a homeless community? How can we have a church on every corner, but then still have hungry people? How is that possible? And then when it's convenient, like I said before, when it's convenient, we say, oh, but, the building isn't the church. We are the church. The people are the church. And I'm like, well, then what are the people doing? This is why it's so important for us to get back to the house of God, to get back. A friend of mine was writing a book called Getting Back in the Box, because they said that for too long, the church has tried to come outside the box. And he said, that's a good idea to come outside the box when you're ready. The church needs to get back in the box. We've got to get back in a place where we are humbled and truly dependent again on God. We've got to, I think that this is what the trends is. The disciples were not the apostles. The disciples, the broken process that they had to go through before they became the apostles. The apostle Peter is not the same apostle that was, the disciple Peter. You know what I'm saying? They were the apostle Peter was not the same guy that was, the fisherman. That process means something. What do you think it's going to take to get us back to what's really important?
Powerful. Thanks for that question. Now, I came in here with this scripture, and it's here. It's in Luke 22, verse 31 to 32. And it is critical to us in this season. It says, and the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan has desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. And you made a statement just now about him not being the same person. He had to go through a process. Powerful. He says, but I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not, which makes us know that a person's faith can fail. What if the faith of our fathers have failed us? But let's keep going. I'm not going to stop there. And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren. You see, your term, your process is really for the strengthening of your brethren. You see, a lot of us are thinking the things that we are going through is for us. It is for the purpose to strengthen the community of the brotherhood. You talk about multiculturalism. This is what has happened. The American brothers were not converted to celebrate the American dream. It was to take that spirit to the rest of the globe, to say all of the brothers in the Caribbean, we are one community of dream. So watch what happens. Sometimes this is what we do as a community. We look at a man who has a public flaw, a man who falls before our eyes, and we do not understand that he's being processed so that you would learn not how to fall like he fell. God. So this is what we do to him. When he becomes converted and that situation takes him and processes him, he already is not in relationship with the community because the community doesn't like him. He's an outcast. So what he does, he becomes liberated, and his experiences and wisdom is not given to the community. So this is what is happening. The community is saying to him, I don't need you. You are a vagabond. You're a thief. you are a criminal. And he is saying, I don't like the community doesn't like me. This is what is going to have to happen. I believe that our communities will have to be opened to people who are processed. Too much of our leaders celebrate their flawless self and not their regenerated self. So this is what happens when I go to places. Listen, and they introduce the pastor. This is what they say. Oh, we'd like to introduce Apostle William Harper. He is the man of one wife for 45 years. They're trying to say he can speak to you because he's never divorced.
Right.
You know that kind of thing. And then they say some deep thing like, this man has had a clean bill of slate. He's a man of repetition. He's well respected in the community. This is what we are saying to our communities. If a man was divorced, if a man was flawed, he cannot lead us. So this is what we're doing. We're crippling the voices that were sent to liberate us. By the way, Moses murdered. Man, you see, you guys don't want to talk to me, See, you guys, you don't want to talk to me. The Apostle Paul was once a killer of the saints that he was sent to preach to. Our communities are killing our prophets because our prophets were processed in our eyes, and we have discredited them because we have seen them fall before us, and we do not understand that what qualifies me to lead you is because I can feel you, because I am touched with the feelings of your infirmity. Oh my God, you don't even want me to touch up in here. So we are the church. Oh,
no, go ahead.
So this is what is happening. Our communities need to understand that there are voices and men and women who are the solution to our problems. But one, there needs to be a relationship, a reunited. Now, this is what the Messiah said in Malachi. He says, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. He says, I want to restore the heart of the sons and the fathers. There needs to be a blending, a coming together. Listen, let me share this. Can I say to you, this is just my view, that the debate of taking prayers out of school is not really so much a demonic one, like it is the young generation saying prayer is an old thing, we don't need it. So look what is happening. This is what is happening. This is what this generation is saying. God is saying, I want to bring you back with the fathers. I want that relationship because you have despised the wisdom of your fathers. Your fathers knew why they had prayers there. They knew why those things were there, but you removed them. And so I believe that now God is bringing people like you, my pastor friend here. God is bringing people like you to say, hey, I was astray. I am coming back to convert you because I'm saying to you that you're going the wrong way. I was up the river before you. And at the end of that river there's a pessimist. Something is coming. Do not go that way. I was there. I am saying to you, America, change your way. I'm saying to you, young man, change your way. Because I'm saying I was converted. I am changed. I need to strengthen you. Don't go that way. My brother, do you know how much years of experience is in you right now?
Hold on 1 second. Oh no. Yeah. So here's the thing that I'm seeing right now. I'm seeing that we have an opportunity because obviously we're still here. We have an opportunity to humble ourselves and come face to face with where we need each other to deal with the pride, to deal with the ego, to deal with the illusions that we created and made ourselves. I've seen it. This is how bad it is. I see the old drunken man. When I was in 5th grade, he was the drunk guy at the corner. And I'm 43. And he's the drunk guy at the corner, same guy. You know what I mean? When I was 12, it's the same guy. And all he talks about is how awesome he used to be. Same conversation that he's had
20 years ago, 25 years ago.
25 years ago, same conversation, how awesome he used to be. So one day I had to ask him, do you really not see that your best days aren't behind you? That you have a future? That, I was like, man, you've been here, for 25 years. You don't see, and he's what are you talking about, man? Da, 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 da. Well, I didn't think anything of the conversation. About 2 years later, I see him all he was walking down the mall one day, and he was in a suit, and he asked me if I recognized him, and I said, no, I don't know, I don't remember. And he told me he was the drunken dude. The drunken dude. He was like, I was the dude that used to be at Food Line drinking all the time.
Oh my God.
And he said, man, I'm the guy that you said that you've been watching me since you were in the 5th grade, and that I've been telling the same story. He said it hurt me so bad.
My God.
Because he said I wasn't. He said it basically. He didn't realize how much time had passed. No one had ever said to him 25 years. No one ever said 25 years. So it was always him just in his head. So you got to think, if we don't have somebody that can confront us with an issue, then we can lose track of time in our head, because all we thinking about, because here's one thing I know about the human brain. The human brain can only discover truth. It cannot create a truth. The truth already exists.
Oh, that's powerful. I love that. Powerful.
So when this is how you know that the spirit actually controls the mind, because the brain cannot come up with any new truth. It has to be fed truth. So if you want to see yourself trapped in the same era over and over again, you will see yourself. You will think you graduated high school 5 years ago when it's been 50 years. You can, I tell people all the time, I don't know how I got 250 pounds overweight.
Okay.
You know what I mean? When I got all the way to 375 pounds, and I went all the way up to 375 pounds, and I told people, I don't know how it just happened overnight. No, it didn't. It didn't happen overnight. But I chose to see what I wanted to see. I didn't even realize the pants that I was buying bigger pant sizes. I didn't even realize it.
Yeah. You didn't realize that you're wearing doubles from the last time you were here.
Yeah.
Nobody's thinking that.
I was supposed to be 180 pounds. I didn't see. So watch this. It's a terrible thing when we can live in a society surrounded by people, and nobody tells us that we're self-destructing. No one tells us that we're going the wrong way. Now, the reason why I know community is important, because when we're alone, that's when we lie to ourselves the most.
Hey, my God.
That's when we lie to ourselves the most.
Listen. No, you're gonna make me go into my testimony. Look at this. I was a drunkard on the best day that you could have been drinking rum. Let me tell you what. let me tell you what my last days of alcohol addiction looked like. I was playing music. I was still speaking in audiences, but I was wrestling with something that first it was private. And then it started to become these little instances publicly where people muse about it. And then it became a culture with my name attached to alcohol as the guy who could preach very well, but is always drunk.
Oh, wow.
Now look at this. Now look at this. Look at this. I was the only person thinking I was doing good.
Yeah.
I was thinking I could still speak like I want to speak. Of course. Now I'm healed. I remember one of my friends said to me, he said, even when you were sober, you were drunk. I said, wow. I said, was it that bad? They said, we could hear you play well. We could hear you construct language well. But we know that the true part of you was suppressed in that alcohol from last night. So I asked, I said, how did you guys survive? Watch me that. They said, as a community, we mourned privately because we knew that there was a day, if there was not a change, that with all that you are and you carry, we will lose you and you will die a memory that never fulfilled destiny. Now, you don't even want to be messing with me. I'm getting a little emotional up in here.
No, because it's true.
Woo, watch me. I was thinking I was doing well. But you know what? You're never well alone, because you know what? You know what? So that brother said it powerfully. I don't even think Pastor realized I was listening to him. He was talking to the core of my being. I could not realize that, you know what? When I got sober, I did not even know how to handle a problem without a shot.
Wow.
I did not even know that my first kid never actually saw me sober. All of my relation with him, in loving him, was always influenced by something other than the truth of me. I'm going to make this statement. A community is watching you, is paining over your demise. And you denying access to that community is not only costing you, it is costing them. Because they're going to lose you because you were sent with blessings to a community. My God.
And here's the thing is that I think that what happens, especially with prophetic voices and the prophetic voices, the responsibility of being a man or woman of God, and the duties of being a mother or father. Jesus said, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that kills the prophets, and so you look at, there's a lot of just, when the society is not connected to God, it creates pressure on the prophets. It creates pressure on the
Could you please say that again?
preacher.
Could you please say that again, man of God?
When the society is not connected to God, it creates pressure on the prophets. It creates pressure on because one, the society is annoyed by the solutions. The society becomes annoyed by the solution. So then watch what happens. So a lot of times the prophets and the preachers become the isolated ones because they're being rejected by the society. So they find themselves dealing with depression. They find themselves dealing with alcoholism. They find themselves dealing with loneliness. They find themselves dealing with, divorced families and things like that. Because what ultimately, especially when society has done a good job at making up and covering up like it's established, when really it's unstable because it's not connected to God, and you have these crazy prophets saying, repent, preach, getting the word, this and that, and nobody wants to hear it. So then they start struggling and they start feeling depressed. They start, especially when the gospel's not famous anymore, when the gospel's not something that people celebrate anymore. This is where I tell people, go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. Go where you're celebrated. Go where I can't be depressed.
Yeah.
If I'm always surrounding myself around people that appreciate the word of God. This was the real point that the Messiah was telling them: wipe the dust off your feet and move on to the next house.
Keep moving.
Keep it moving. Because what happens is once you start trying to prove the gospel to a community that has already rejected it, they're now going to consume you. You see what I mean? And then you start to say things like, I'm not good enough. I failed. Because their oppression is deceiving you. But what I've seen in this generation is there's some people. I remember when graphics first came out, there were certain preachers that didn't think they weren't enough because they didn't have a suit and tie. Other preachers didn't think they were enough because they didn't have some cool, snazzy graphic, others didn't think they were enough because they weren't on television. Others didn't think they were enough. And I'm saying, do you not know that you have a word from heaven? Why is that not good enough? Why is it not good enough that you can hear from God and speak a word from heaven? Christ spoke the word of God without a website, a business card, a microphone, a keyboard. He didn't have any of that. He just appreciated the word from heaven. And we've got to get
preaching this morning. You are preaching this morning, man of God. My God.
We got to get away. See, we get disappointed when we don't have these gimmicks. And this is why America is being so humbled right now, because we call these countries third world countries, but they have their first wives. We call them third world countries, but they can keep a family together. We call them third world countries, but they're living to their 120 years old.
You know what? They call us third world country, but we're 3 generations of family strong.
Right. How is it? It's like, you can be profound at something that doesn't matter. You see, because America's good at creating things to dominate in that really don't matter to life. I tell people there's a difference between life and society.
Oh, wow. That is what we need to put that on a t-shirt or something. My God.
There's a difference between life and you can be great at society and horrible at life. And a lot of men of God struggle with this, because you can be great at life and fail in society. But that's okay. Because as long as you have life on your side, that's what really matters. But we got everybody trying to abandon life to fit in society. And society is made by man. And it's unstable. And it's always changing.
Now, brother, Pastor, hear this. My wife is now mourning the loss of her dad. So now I lost my dad, and I was looking yesterday. I was looking at our wedding video. Now, let me tell you about my father-in-law. He was a guy. He was not very talkative. He was not a pulpit guy, but he was a family guy. Now look at this. So I remember when the priest put both of our hands together, my father's hands upon my wife's hands, and he gave his daughter to me and my father and the whole thing. And I thought of something. I said, a man that we were neighbors. I said, a man that I never heard him make any declarations publicly, never say anything profound, but he raised 4 children that affects the community in very profound ways. My wife is the ed health officer for a whole, almost half of a region, a major part in the country. Now look at this. I have never seen him post anything on Facebook profoundly. He doesn't have a Facebook account. When he passed away, I'm like, guys, could you just get a photo to me so that I could put him up or anything? And the Lord said this to me. He said, that man's posts are not on Facebook. It's in society, affecting the lives of many. That's in his kids. Whoa.
That's where it's really right, because it's the life. The life is what matters. The life is what matters. And we sometimes we want the lie to live longer than the life. You know what I
Wow.
mean? Because
Man, you knocking me too hard, man. If you keep knocking me this hard, I'll not be able to stand up, bro. That's deep, man.
it's true though. Sometimes we would rather the lie live longer than the life, because it's like if we can hide behind the lie, then no one has to see that I struggle with life. You know, that's why a lot of celebrities like to look good on stage, look good on camera, look good on it. But then their private life, then all of a sudden you see they died some horrible death, you know, in private. They died of alcoholism or cocaine overdose. And I ask people all the time, and this is not judgment or condemnation, but it's just, I ask people all the time, why do you think it is that how many millionaires does it take to find out that money isn't enough? The millionaires, a lot of times, guess what happens? We get paranoid. We get paranoid because we don't know who our real friends are. We don't know who's friends with us just because we have money or just because we have these things to offer. You see what I'm saying? Who's with us? You know, and you think that money is the answer, and it's not. It's not.
It is, but Christ called it. Christ called it this. He said the deceitfulness of riches. Riches has a way of telling you. Think about this. Haven't you guys, when they brought out the first iPhone, you thought like your life would be like heaven if you got the first iPhone? We are at what iPhone are we at now? And you still think, oh, I need to get the next one. It's gonna really fix my life. Listen, I'm gonna share some with you. This blew me away. I met this guy who produces for these sitcoms, right? But he's an old guy. And this guy has like some crazy production for these spots. And you know, somebody introduced me to him. I consider honor. So I'm thinking I'm going into the studio with like, this guy is rolling with like some of the latest plugins and all that stuff, you know. And I started to be like, I'm like, what version of Cubase are you using? And and I'm saying, are you using Ableton? Are you using Pro Tools? And I'm talking and boom, boom, boom. And the guy, you know, he's just sitting there with all beard, you know, he had his beards on his gray beard on his face, and and I'm thinking, you know, I'm really informing this guy about something. And he said, I'll be honest with you. He said, son, I'm on a deadline. And all these years, Cubase 3 has been working for me. I got all the songs that I want. I'm thinking like, those of you that are into software, you would know Cubase 3 is like Father Abraham. You know, like that's like going back to Walkmans with cassette.
Yeah.
That's what Cubase 3 is. And you thinking, I am thinking, because I use Ableton and I use Reason and Pro Tools, and I'm like, every time there's an update, I get nervous, you know. Like, hey, I need to get the latest update. So right now I'm updated. Dude, my library doesn't have half of the stuff this guy has. And so here is what this guy is going to tell me. Right away, I took money out of my pocket and I blessed him for this wisdom. This is what he said to me. Hear this statement. He said, William, this is the problem I have with you young cats. He said, there was a time when we didn't have none of the tools you have. And we shake the world. He says, I'm old and I'm weary. And I'm waiting to see you guys shake the world. And you think you have everything. He says, I'm beginning to think that you guys are nothing. And you have everything.
Wow.
This is a senior guy. He says, I'm beginning to think you guys are nothing and you have everything.
Yeah, man. You know what I think it is, man? I think that this is procrastination. The setup, like, oh, we'll start once we get this. We'll start once we get that.
Yeah.
We'll start once we get this. We'll start. But if you look at the creative nature of the Father, everything He created us. It's in us already. And the more in tune we are with Him, the more creativity He can release out of us, which means the less things we need. Because we don't need the things. All we need is Him. And then He releases the things out of us. You see, out of us and releases. This is why you go to some countries and they may not have guitars, but they can create instruments out of nothing. Instruments and sounds that I mean, I've seen all over the world instruments created out of the woods and instruments created out of seashells and all types of stuff, creating sounds that we don't have. You see? And it's because they didn't wait for things to be perfect to get started. They got started with what was already perfect.
That is so profound. Listen, I'm going to say this. This is going to be hard for you Americans. This is going to be rough for you. But I'm going to say it to help you. Necessity is God creating an environment to expose your divine bounties. By the way, that's an original thought that just came to my spirit. You see, I was pausing.
Yes.
I wanted God to give me something creative to tell you that I never said. Yes. Necessity is God preparing or creating room for you to release your divine bounties. Listen, a recession is when a community has exhausted its present state and God is saying, I want to take you to another level. I want to say this to America. Remember this man of God from South America said this. America seems to be going into a crisis that is already on its doorstep because God is saying, you have become satisfied and I will remove things that there will be room for newer things, says the Lord.
Yeah. And here's the thing is we're going to have to discover them in a low place. We're going to have to discover them being lowly.
Could you speak more on that? Could you speak more on that, man of God?
Yes,
discovering your value in a low place.
You got to discover your value in a low place because in a high place, you become too dismissive. In a high place, you won't see the value. When you discover it in a low place, you can see all the potential that it has and the real value. You absorb all the value in the low place. In the low place, you're appreciative of it. I was just in the grocery store the other day, and I saw the bread aisles kind of low. And I said, man, I wonder if I need to invest in a bread maker to learn how to make bread. And then immediately I was like, no, that's a stupid thought. We'll never run out of bread. But then I said, wow, but why wouldn't I want to know how to make bread just in case so I can take care of my family? What's wrong with that? And see, I was in a high place. That's why I couldn't see the idea. Watch this. In a low place, you're grateful for the creativity and the creative things that God shows you because you were prepared to receive it. In a high place, God might give you something valuable and you say, I don't need that. I don't need that. You know,
what if I give you another side? What if I give you another side to that? In the low place, you get to meet the guy who makes the bread for you in the high place.
Right. Right. You watch this. You're spending time with the maker. You know, you're spending time with the makers. The makers. See, when we become too busy and too important, that's why we always miss God. You know, this is why we watch so many kings in the Bible, so many kings get in trouble. You know, it happened to David. It happens to these great men of God. They get addicted to the greatness. But they forget that what made them great was the low place. They forget that what made them great was the low place, the encounter of God. Man
of God, that is so powerful. That is so. Listen, let me tell you how powerful that is. Can I give you a testimony?
Go for it.
This is going to bless somebody. The church which I now pastor, it is the last church that my father built. This church started under our house in 1996. The last church that he built is a very big church. There was a situation and he had to leave. And he was in a house meeting. I want you to hear something. He was in a house meeting with some women who were sitting on like milk tins for chairs and meeting to pray. And because he could play the guitar, they invited him to preach. And it was an honor for a pastor of his caliber to be there anyway. But he was in a low place. Look at this. One day as he was playing, and they had like a break in the meeting because they would pray with these all-night prayer meetings. God said to him, he said, I have called you and I have given you a gift and an ability. Why are you sitting here? He came home to my mom, who was a big school teacher and all of that. She's in the education system. Now he's not doing any church. He's not doing full-time ministry. Hear this. And he says, we're going to start a church. She said, start a church where? Out of her house. You have to hear my mom give the testimony. She's like, this dude must be smoking or something. All the big churches we have around the place, like, we're going to start a church in our house. Look at this. My father, I never know my father to be a carpenter. He built the benches to start the church in 1996, the 21st of April. Our church started at our home with 21 people. Now, you see, I want to talk to a man of God that is right here. Because you were saying you need a stadium. I'm talking to you now. The first miracle that happened in that service, there was a blackout. In our country, you have blackout and you have these lamps in 1996. A family brought a girl that was demon-possessed and blind. I want you to hear me. I never said this to this brother. Listen, me and this brother's relationship is pure love. That's all it is. This is what you call cross-cultural kingdom connection.
Yeah.
We don't even sit and talk about how we pray. I don't even know if he prays. You know what? we just God just connected us. Look at this. And my father had her in our house overnight and he prayed for her. He said, God, open our eyes. Work a miracle. Let these men know that you are God. Listen to me. A girl that came into our house blind and possessed, left reading, could read for her family. Listen, it created a buzz in the community that started an influx of people starting to come into our house. Let me explain something to you. You see, I want to talk to you because some of you, I don't know what's your excuse. Some of you could open a church 20 times a day and I don't know what's your problem. Listen to me. Here, this guy's talking to you. We were using a self-made amplifier. There was a guy by the name of Sir Joe. He made an amplifier for us. I had a keyboard that is 2 octaves. Let me tell you what is 2 octaves. What your studio keyboard looks like in 1996. And we had 2 house speakers. Now, there was no internet then. There was a buzz in the community. I played. I'm going to show you a picture later on. I promise you. My brother, who was our drummer, you see those barrels that you send gifts for your family abroad? We cut that barreling off, and that was the bass drum. The cover for the barrel was the cymbal. We took buckets, 2 buckets together, and that was the toms. I want to talk to you. Listen, I want to hear you. Those were the days when I played like nothing else. We saw in services, people would be coming from miles. And when they got into a certain proximity of our church services, demons would start to manifest in minibuses. The glory of God fell. I want to say this to you. I have a fear that a new generation which I pastor, they do not know the glory of God on that level. They have to have sound checks. They have to have the latest keyboards. They have to have the right mic. No. You see, I'm talking to you. See, some of you don't want to handle this. You can't handle this. Listen to me. Okay, I want you to hear me. My dad, let me show you. I have not cleaned this guitar. I have never troubled it because I believe that it represents a season of the ministry that is bigger now. We are better now. Look at this. Hold 1 minute. 1 minute. Woo.
Wow. This is powerful, guys. I don't know what to tell you. This is powerful.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at it. I'm bringing it close to the camera. Look at this. This guitar, I do not trouble it because I want everybody to know that this guitar played and saw more miracles than some of you could walk. Look at this. In 1996, look at it. Look, it's battered. You see it? I am not troubling it. I don't want anybody to trouble it because I want my children to know that God can use you and a little guitar and you can bring down the presence of God. And we know people that are doctors today. We know people that are lawyers, people that were poor. And when we played that thing and we sang in the anointing, we brought God's presence down that liberated the lives of men. I am talking to somebody that is in the United States, Canada, someplace. What is your excuse? You have gotten it all and you're talking a whole lot of crap. But in the ears of God is not singing very right. Because God is saying there's a generation that changed the world with nothing. And you seem to have everything. What are you talking about up in here? You don't even want to raise me up, man. You better leave me alone this morning. Hey, my God. Woo! What are you talking about? Listen to me. By the way, this was not planned. So Pastor White knows that, I understand this. Trust me in that. He is discovering this right now just like you. He doesn't know anything about that. He is now knowing that no just like you.
Yeah, because and I do believe that there is that this generation is too tied into the superficial, and we've got to get back to the supernatural. It's not just being hokey like supernatural. I'm talking about the authentic, creative, life-giving power of God to make the impossible happen. Because that's what people really need. When the disciples saw the Messiah walking on water, they said it's a ghost. And Peter said, no, that's the Lord. And he says, if it's you, and he still says he wasn't sure. He says, well, Lord, if it's you, call me out. And the Lord calls him out. At that moment, I realized that that's a defining moment for a generation because only Peter got out. When you can be with 12 other people or 11 other people, and they can see something spectacular and still not participate. That lets you know how easy it is for a one mindset to go beyond other mindsets. Because it's easier to stay in a cluster than to go further out. But if you look, the reason why I'm not surprised that it was Peter, because since him and Christ met, Christ had been asking him to go further out. Go again. Do this again. Peter had been practicing hearing from Christ longer than they had. The more time the more time you spend with the Messiah, the easier it is to hear him. And watch this. And you find out all you need is the instructions. You don't need things that enhance. You don't need the enhancements. All you need is the instructions. You see, when that's how we survive this thing. We survive by following the instructions. Now, if you look what Saul tried to do with David and tried to give David his gear to put on, his clothes to put on him, and he tried to do that. And David couldn't fight that way.
Yeah, he couldn't handle that. That was not his thing. Yeah.
He had to be in his groove. He had to be. So that means that he had to be who God created him to be. He couldn't be who man wanted him to be. He had to be who God created him to be. And what happens in this generation is we keep wanting something that's not God to define us when it's God that created us. God's the one that created us, but we're always asking something else to define us. Somebody else tell us, look, I'm awesome because of my car that I have. I'm awesome because of the house that I have. I'm
Preach
awesome
now,
because-
preach now, preach it.
But the truth of the matter is, I'm awesome because God made me. That's the truth. It was never that. I can lose the house. I can lose the car. I can lose the wife. I can lose everything. But if I can stay connected to God, He's the one that made me awesome because He made me in His image. And He is awesome. So what's really what we've got to stop trying to find stuff that makes us significant. We're significant because God already holds us as precious and valuable. And that is what's important. Well, look, guys, we're out of time. We got to go.
Whoa.
Man, I love you, brother. I'm going to hit you up later today.
Love you too, my brother.
Tell everybody how to contact you.
You can find me on William Harper Sent One. That's on Facebook. William Harper Sent One. I'm right up in there. Message me, do whatever. You can meet me up in there.
All right. God bless you guys. We'll see you soon.